Hello everyone. I just wanted to record an overview of the submissions and my way of how to do this three-dimensional lighting design in a procedural way. Actually, there are no single way of doing this, so I'll try to show you some more than one way of doing things. Each of them has some advantages and disadvantages. So let's start with seeing some of the submissions that you've made, which are everyone's submission is a little bit different, and I can show you the structure of these scenes. Actually, in this one, this is a little hard to do because like uh, each line is done manually here in this one, so I wouldn't recommend that. Some of them didn't grasp the opening at the top, so the top should be open so that a lamp can enter inside. So most of them are very sharp cornered geometries. I don't know why you did like that. This was done using a torus object. Yeah, this is a different interpretation of a similar geometry. So yeah, this is again a sharper one, but it got the curved curved petals idea right here, although it's a little bit sharp. And also none of them, I guess, got this a zigzag placement of these petals here. So they are not aligned in a certain line, but they're filling each space by like zigzagging through over the surface. So regarding that, okay, some of them got it right. Some of them actually, uh, this geometrically, this is one of the closest ones, but unfortunately, this didn't have the curved petal thing right also. Yeah, this is again a lot sharper one, but they had openings there. Also, they had some problems over the edges here, and this one also has a similar problem. This one has an alignment problem here because like they're aligned at the same angle throughout all over the surface, but they have to be aligned through over the surface according to the tangential to the surface of the geometry, but they are all aligned in the same way in this example. And also the bottom and the top parts are open. The bottom should be closed. This has obviously some problems concerning the geometry. Also, some of them had some problems in the bottom part because of the vertices of the geometry is not evenly distributed there. The clones have cloned objects have some overlaps or um, not so predictable ways of alignment at the bottom. So this one, yeah, I won't talk about everyone, but yeah, this got the curvature kind of right, but like it's using bend and cone. This is very sharp also, and this has that problem too. Yeah, most of you use the cone, but that made the shape very sharp. This has some problems concerning the even distribution of the geometry over this surface. And this used a different method using lath. This has some advantages and disadvantages also. I'll show you that, hopefully. Yeah, this had some problems with the clones over here. Yeah, this also had some alignment problems. Yeah, overall, they're all like this. So let me start from the beginning and show you how it might be done. Okay, by the way, I'll show you a hint over how to get the shape right. I don't remember I've showed this uh, in one of the lectures, but I'll show you here in order for you to use maybe in the future projects. So suppose that, okay, we have the sphere here without any deformation. So one of the most flexible deformers that can be used for this purpose is squash and stretch. So with squash and stretch, you have many options over to control the form, how you want to squeeze, or yeah, you can play with many parameters. So to have the closest overall shape to this as possible. So, but I kind of cheated because I got the overall shape right first. Then I wanted to check if it fits with the image perfectly or not. So you can download that image in your computer and drag and drop that image to one of the viewports here, like this, so that it becomes attached to the viewport background so that you can see your object. And in order to scale this image and move this image, because I want this to be kept at the center or origin of your scene. So in order to move this image, you can go to the viewports, view menu, and go to the configure. And then you can adjust the offset of the image and also scaling of that. Okay. So that, okay, let's say I have a sphere like this. Okay, you enable or add the squash and stretch or whatever deformer you want to add, and then adjust your parameters according to the image that you have. In by this way, you'll be able to perfectly match the overall shape that you have here to the geometry defined by the image there. Okay, so let's fine tune this a little bit. Okay. Maybe we can scale the sphere a little. Okay, so this more or less covers the overall shape. So I think that is enough for me. And let's display the hidden line feature like this, or let's route hidden lines so that I can see the okay, by the way, I stretched it wrong from the top view, so there is a problem with that. Let's see. Something is off, but okay. Not, I want to understand which one of these parameters are causing this elliptic view from the top viewport, okay? So maybe I should reset all back. So let's play with these parameters again. Factor, okay. Okay, this does not do that. Expand, okay. Let's let's start with, okay, let's see. So I should, okay, this aspect starts to distort this scale, or if you change this aspect to something other than 100, you'll see that when you play with the other values, it starts to become an elliptical shape. So instead of that, I'll keep this at 100 aspect, okay? Then I'll start to, I'll try to modify all of these things. Okay, bottom, I should move these a little bit more. And center, okay. Factor, okay. You see that I'm not exactly sure about what is doing what, so the main method that I'm after is that I change one parameter at a time dramatically to see what that parameter does in the system that I'm going after. So smooth start and things can allow me some more control over the form. But yeah, this more or less is the final form. So I can see that it's not now like perfect circle from the top. So I haven't distorted that. Okay. So then I can continue on doing some constructing the petals. Okay. For that, actually, I'll just use a cube. So because cube has some different parameters that will let me make a smooth petal instead of using a cone, I'll be able to make a very smooth petal-like thing unit here. Okay, so why? Because let's see. So I'll use fillet feature so that it's smoothed in the corners. Okay, and I also want these petals to be thinner when it goes towards the top of that object. Okay, so for that I'll use the taper deformer and put that inside the cube and then go to the object menu and hit fit to parent. Now I'll play with strength. Okay, I don't want it to be tapered in this way, so I'll experiment with these different alignments. This, no, plus X. Uh, Hopefully this is, yeah, okay, this is the way. So, yeah, but I can't do any curvature right now because my cube doesn't have any segments, right? So if I do something like this, it will help me add more curvature to the form if I need it, obviously. Okay, like this. So I can even increase the strength. So because like these are smoother towards the top. So let's change this. Maybe I can increase the cube's height a little bit like this. Okay. So I also want to, by the way, I can also play with the fillet radius so that you can see what it does. Okay. So I also need to bend this object. By the way, I can make it a little bit longer and I can go to the taper and again hit fit to parent. Now it seems like it's not exactly, it's not perfect, but more or less it works, I think. So I can make this even like this. Okay. So let's add a bend deformer over this because after the taper, probably I'll hit fit to parent. Okay, this is not the right direction. Let's try this. Yeah, okay. Plus X works. Okay. So I'll do this. And let's, okay, I can also play from this viewport to see if the curvature fits right or, yeah, let's say this. Okay, this is too much curvature. So I'll decrease the bend like this maybe. Okay. So we'll see after, we'll see what happens after we clone over the object. So this is more or less it, I guess. So, But the corners have very dense segments, so I'll try to decrease that because I don't want to lose any performance. So fillet subdivision might be a little less. Okay, this is too sharp. This is enough. Okay. So now I'll add the cloner and select the object mode. I'll assign this sphere object to the cloner and then put this, let's rename this petal inside the cloner. And as always, it's scattered in the wrong direction. So I'll go to the cloner. I'll select the distribution to the vertex. Okay. So it's still in the wrong direction. It needs rotation. So let's try the up vectors first. Let's see what it does. Okay. Align clone. One of the problem that some submissions had was they didn't check the align clone option here, or they unchecked this align clone option. Okay, so I can either go to this. No, it doesn't do anything. So I'll go to the cloner and transform, and then rotate this in 90 degrees. And now you can see that they're all cloned in the correct direction, right? Okay, so by the way, something that disturbs me is these blue gizmos there that are coming from these deformers. You can hide them by double clicking the top circles there. Okay. So another shortcut that maybe I haven't shown you is if you middle mouse click any viewport, you can maximize that viewport. So I middle mouse click in this viewport and maximize that. Okay, so more or less I have my clones working now, but I want it to be much denser, right? And also notice that there is a very problematic part here over the top. It's because the distribution of these vertices over the surface of the sphere. So as I mentioned before, you can select different types of spheres like hemisphere, tetrahedron, hexahedron. You see how it dramatically changes the clone's alignment there, octahedron and icosahedron. Okay, so yeah, this is a mess actually. So let's try different placement methods by going to the cloner. Instead of, let's try, okay, this might work. Up vector is set to Y and distribution is set to vertex. And let's try edge and polygon center. And also there's a problem with the placement of these petals because some of them are entering inside the shape here. Okay, so I'll first deal with that. So I selected again the vertex, but I'll just align these things to just start from the surface of the object. Okay, and that happens because, so when you go to the petal here, so I'll just go and zero out this position of this object. And that happens because when the petal object has this pivot point here, okay? So, but instead, if you put this inside a null, so I'll just get rid of the cloner for a while. If you create a null and put this petal inside a null, so just move click the petal and move that petal so that this button part is barely at the origin point, which is this null's pivot point there. Okay, so petal pivot, say, and let's move this inside this cloner and then enable. Something happened. Okay, sphere was not enabled, so okay. So now, as you can see, not probably nothing is entering inside, but all these are starting from the surface. Okay, because now I can align this like that, and it's all aligned on the vertices of the geometry there. Okay, so now I need to make this a little bit denser, and maybe I can denser and smaller maybe. So I'll just try different uh, distribution methods. Edge, no. Polygon center, okay, this seems to be working well, but actually the vertex mode was more organized, I think. Yeah, okay. Yeah, polygon center or vertex, okay. So I'll just try enable scaling and hit polygon center. Okay, that doesn't do anything for this. Let's disable that. Okay, I'll just add more segments to the sphere so that it becomes denser, like this. Okay. So maybe I can go to the petal and hit the scale tool here and then scale them down, maybe. Let's see. And also maybe I can rotate them from the transform here a little bit upwards like this, so that, yeah, this. Okay, the scale was, I can increase the scale again. Mhm. As you can see, there are some problems at the button part because it doesn't know in which direction it should be cloned. So, and also I just need to make the top part open. Okay, so I'll just deal with that now because I don't want any clones to be existing there because a lamp should enter inside. So for that, I'll just use the Boolean object, but that has some tips and tricks also. Okay, so I'll just add a Boolean object and hit the sphere inside, put the sphere inside. I can subtract a cylinder from that sphere, okay, like this. But remember that, and also that I need to assign this Boolean object to the cloner, okay? So instead of the sphere, I should drag this Boolean object to the object there. And then if I enable that, you'll see that this part also has some clones, but I don't want that. So even if I increase this area of this thing, since the inside is filled with a with a solid object, it doesn't work. For that, I need to change the Boolean mode from a subject B to a without B, now it becomes a hollow object, okay, like this, so that when I enable this, only the surface will be cloned, or the clones will be only cloned to the surface of that, okay? So yeah, uh, they're aligned perfectly, so I don't want that. And also notice that some of you had these problems here, many clones overlapping with each other. That happens because after the Boolean, I'll just disable cloner. You see that at the edges there are some excess points that are generated, so they are not evenly distributed. So that is defined by this rotation segments of the cylinder, but it's very hard to align them perfectly to each other since they are different objects. I can either change the mode of the cylinder sphere to the standard mode so that I can have some evenly distributed lines there, and then maybe, let's say, the segment number is, let's say, 60, and I go to the cylinder and rotation segments to 60 maybe. Yeah, then, okay, let's disable this. Okay, again, there are some problems because that they are not perfectly aligned. Okay, it's because that the sphere is not perfectly at the center. Okay, now it's evenly distributed. So if I change the radius of this like this, okay, probably it won't have the same problem. Okay, I need to decrease the amount to segment amount to 50 maybe. Okay, at the bottom you can see that there are problems also because it doesn't know in which direction to place these objects. Let's try the scaling. Okay, this is working a little better. So if I change the sphere's type to standard and bool it with the same rotation segment amount. So let's make it more obvious. Let's make it 30 and let's make this 30. Okay, so the problem arises when, for example, if this bool subtracted object, the cylinder, has less or more rotational segments than the sphere that you're doing, it it creates some vertices that are not intended, okay? But if they are the same, let's say 30, you can see that they are perfectly aligned to each other so that there are no new segments or vertices that will create new clones. So now I can enable this. So yeah, you can see that they are perfectly aligned to each other. And notice that since the cloner has this scaling option, it scales the scale of the clone according to the surface area of these polygons there. If this polygon division is larger, the clone becomes larger, but if it's smaller, it becomes smaller. It's not valid for vertex. It doesn't work for vertex because vertices doesn't have any size. but it best works with polygon center there. So I'll just again change this 30 to 50 and cylinder to 50. Okay. So you can see the scale difference, and go to the cloner and maybe dramatically do this, increase or decrease this. Okay. So I don't want any of them to overlap with each other. Actually, it's a little problematic. Okay, disable and enable. Okay, sometimes you need to disable and enable things a lot, because the things don't work as intended. Okay, remember that. If something is not working as you expect it to work, just enable, disable. Okay, so now the scaling is a little bit too much, I guess, because it distorts the overall form. Okay, now the only problem I have, okay, I need a little bit more opening, let's say. Let's open this more, like this. Okay. So the thing that I need to do is that like they're aligned perfectly in one direction, but I want a jagged or like a honeycomb-like pattern inside those. So for that, I'll use another deformer that will deform the surface, twist the surface, so that, let's say, add this twist to the sphere, fit the parent, and do this. You see now, when I do this, these polygons will start to, okay, I need to enable this corner, and then go to twist and show you what it does. Now you see how you can control the alignment of these different petals in a twisted way, like this. Okay, so let's keep it at 45 or something. Each one of you will have probably different. Okay, 60 might be the proper number. Okay, now it seems to be working more or less. Now I'll just play corner or lampshade form. Let's. I'll go to the cloner and play with these angles again. And also, okay, maybe I can decrease the bendiness of this object. Maybe it's too much, like this. And also I can increase the width of this object, since everything is parametric. I can play with that also. Then I can bend it again, like this. So I have infinite options now, okay? Since I've constructed the system. Okay, I didn't like this opening size, so I'll just go to the cylinder and decrease the radius so that I can add more petals there. Okay. So because of the angle of the clones, these parts seem to be too. Okay, this is much better. Let's see this. Okay, these petals are a little bit longer, I guess. So So when I increase the size, by the way, also becomes a different aesthetic. It also has a different aesthetic when I do this. I'll just taper it to parent. Mhm. If you go to the options menu in your viewport and open subsurface ambient occlusion, I guess, or SSAO, this adds a shadow to the overlapping geometry so that it can allow you to see more details. Okay? So after all, if you have constructed this system, then it would be the perfect tool for you to experiment with any object, any form that you have. Notice that I can change anything I like now, since I have constructed the system in a procedural way. Now I can play as much as I like with that system to have different options of designs, right? Maybe something like this, I don't know. Or I also want to bend, change the bend direction, right? So what I want you to do is to be able to develop these systems that will allow you to procedurally or very iteratively change the thing that you've designed. And also, for example, instead of a petal like this, I can replace that with like height, let's say. So let's decrease that. So now I've got rid of this and just added um, a text. And let's see what happens. Let's zero this. So now it's made out of the letter A instead of, maybe this is too big for now, so I'll just decrease the height like this. Okay. Let's make it T-land or U. No, let's see. So it's like a magnet lamp. I don't know. No matter what you do, it fits the system, kind of. So you can create intricate patterns, or I don't know. Okay. A seven lamp, right? So okay, this sums up what I want you to do, more or less. Of course, like this still has some problems, but this would be the perfect system that would allow you to design things procedurally. Okay. So the main problem here I have is the bottom part here. There are some ways to overcome that, but I didn't care much about that in the grading. So yeah, if you want, I can show you some other ways, but this is more or less the thing that I wanted. An open top part that can be done either with a Boolean object or a lathe object. And Yeah, the perfect curved petals here with top parts getting thinner, and a system that allows you to rotate this. Also, by the way, there are some clever ways that used to scale these things. So if you use a cloner with the plane effector and use that plane effector to not move this, but to scale that. So let's uniform scale and make them smaller. Now this plane effector is scaling them all. But if you add a field, let's add a spherical field, okay? So if you use this field, like this, so you can use this field to manually control the scaling of these clones there, okay? So that they don't overlap with each other. Also, for example, I can use that, maybe not like a spherical field, but click this and change, let's say, change the type to a cylinder field like this, increase the height of it, okay? Yeah, okay, so you can use that to also control the scalings and overlappings of this form. And also, for example, of course, you can hide this lampshade form like this, so that you also you're only left with the overall shape there. And also, for example, you can use, let's 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 kill these clones here by using another effector. Let's, okay, there's no kill effector there. But okay, we can use, actually we can use plane again and rename it to kill. And instead of position, we use scale, uniform scale, and set scale to -1. So if you set scale to -1, it means that you are making the scale of it 0, scale of the clone 0. So I'll just add another spherical field there and move it towards the bottom part so that the 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 ones that are at the bottom will be scaled down to 0, okay, so that I can get rid of those clones, okay? So plane scale up clones will button clone maybe. Let's group them inside and all of these. Okay. So also don't forget to rename your objects there. Yeah, this is one method. And another method would be, okay, you can play infinitely with these actually to make it fit better and maybe more beautiful. I don't know. But as long as you develop such a system that allows you this customization, that would be perfect. So what I want is this. Okay. So another method was, instead of using this Boolean object in the lampshade form, you could also, okay, I'll just put them inside option 1 or method 1 and hide that. Or so instead of using that, I could also create this form by using uh, the spline pen tool and the lathe object. So start with this uh, button part and try to draw this form with as little control points as possible. When finished, hit space so that it's left open. Okay, so I have this profile now, and I'll just use the lathe object, lathe generator actually, it's a generator. I put this inside there, okay? And also, of course, I can play with this since it's a lathe object. I can immediately use it as an open form like this, okay? So I have the overall form ready now, but notice that, go to the grout shading lines mode. Notice that how this is unevenly distributed, these lines over there. And that is controlled in the spline objects interpolation mode, which is adaptive. If you select off, it's not that. Natural, no. Uniform. Uniform is the thing that you're after because you want it to be equal at each step. Okay, so I can increase or decrease this number there. So as you can see, I have a problem with the placement of this that is very, very close to, okay, this seems to be doing fine. So I can use the same cloner system. So I'll just copy and paste that cloner system here. But in this cloner, I'll just drag this new lathe object so that it applies everything that I have done in that cloner here to this new lathe object form. Okay, so you can see how it changes actually. And at the bottom, of course, there is still problem. Okay, I'll just try to play with different options there to see what each does. Okay. Okay. So movement. See, now I have a different kind of a object. I wasn't expecting this, but okay, it's beautiful. So scaling, okay, this also does something different, as you can see. So I'll print this form actually. I liked it a lot. Okay, um, you can also play with this angle thing. Anyway, so lathe object, there are different properties there. Subdivision allows me to adjust this rotational segmentation, and the splines uniform number there allows me to adjust this vertical subdivision. Okay, so you can use those controls over there. As I said, both methods have advantages and disadvantages. So for the lathe object, I need to put it inside a null and then add a twist deformer. Hopefully this will work. I'm not sure, but let's see. Okay, it works. So I'll just add a twist deformer uh, after that lathe object. Okay. So yeah, I won't be showing all the way through this method, but as you can see, both has some drawbacks, both methods. There can be other methods also, of course, but I wanted to show you two different methods as I have seen in your submissions also. So yeah, hopefully we'll be meeting next week. And until then, take care and hope to see you soon.